Hello and welcome to this lecture where we'll go into strings and working with strings and cleaning data. So first of all, we have the CSV file. It looks like this. You can see there's a lot of weird. If I right click here and open preview, you can see that this is weirdly formatted. Like here you have some spaces, you have some that are capital letters, some that are not capital letters, etc. And these are the SQL word, and here for descriptions we can see that there's some spaces in between, etc. So we need to clean this data basically. So how do we clean this data? Well, first of all, we need to open up the terminal, and here we can see I'm outside, I'm in the root folder, so I have the data folder and I have the SQL ingest glossary. So the ingest glossary, I will go into data and SQL terms.csv. So this works because I'm in the root folder and I will create, so in the terminal I'm in the root folder, I will create the DuckDB database inside of the data folder. So let's start with that. DuckDB data slash, let's see what this should be called. Data slash strings.duckdb, and I will use input redirection and do it with let's see, SQL slash ingest glossary like this. Okay, so we see that we have strings.duckdb. So let's open this up. DuckDB data slash strings.duckdb, and I will do desk. We can see we have the SQL glossary. We can do select star from SQL glossary, and this will not work. Why? Well, it's because I put it into a schema called staging. So create schema if not exists staging, and then create table if not exists staging.sql glossary. So then I need to do staging.sql glossary, and it works. Okay, so then you might ask, why do we use staging? Well, staging is some kind of landing zone for the data. So this is going more into the data warehouse concepts. So you ingest the data and it lands in the staging. And inside of the staging, you have the raw data, right? So you clean the data, you transform it, and you save it in the refined layer or the warehouse layer. So then you talk about different layers which are represented with different schemas in DuckDB. So that's how it works. So we have a staging schema, we have the raw data inside. So that's where we access the data. So it works. We do Control D and Command K so that we remove everything. We have the DuckDB database file here. So let's move on to the Beaver and let's do File, Open Projects from File, let's see, 08 grouping, 09 strings. And here we do connections. We open up a DuckDB connection. Open data, this database. Right, like this. Double click it, and we see the check mark. We go into SQL, and here we can create new SQL scripts. So let's create SQL script here called string methods.sql. So before we'll work with the glossary, or we can work with glossary directly actually. Select star from staging.sql glossary. And we can see the malformed SQL, malformed data. So let's start with understanding the data set, or let's start to understand some string methods that we can use. So I will copy this part. And I will do like this. I will pick out the SQL word. And we can see this is the SQL words. And I will pick out the SQL words, the first 2 characters of SQL words. So then I do like this, SQL word, :2. So I do slicing. So this means I will get the first 2 characters. So here the first character is actually a space. Here the first character, 2 characters are spaces. Here we have WH, etc. So here we do slicing, and in the last lecture you saw substring or substr. So that you can use, or you can use slicing in DuckDB, similar to in Python. So I will copy this one. And we will do from 2 to 5. And you can see the second one here is actually S, because the first one was a space, and then you go into 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we get the E here. So select. So that's how it works. So it's an array-like slicing here. Array-like slicing. Similar to Python slicing. We can do, let's copy this one here. We can do get item. So it's similar to, it's using the bracket operator. So it's similar to Python's. So basically you have here, if you do 0, SQL word of 1, you run this one, you see SQL word of 0, you get nothing. SQL word of 1, you get the first character. Okay, why is that? Well, because in SQL we count from 1, we don't count from 0. That is very, very important to understand, since most other programming languages count from 0. Okay, I can also count from -1 to get the last index, or exactly the last character here. We see we didn't get the T because of a space in the end. From we got the M, right? Where we got the E, the capital E here. So great. Let's do some other thing. We can do concatenation. So let's see. SQL. Let's do like this. Select fun, and then concatenate with joke. And you see fun joke. Give it the space, and we have fun joke here. So this is concatenation, and yeah, of course you can concatenate a word with, you can concatenate a string with a whole column if you want. So for example, we could do this, copy this one, and we do SQL word, and I will do, for example, I can write like this, SQL concatenate SQL command concatenate SQL word, like this, and you can see here SQL command comes here. So then we have one string concatenated with each of the column, each of the row in the column. And also you can concatenate column with column. So then you get for each row, it gets concatenated. So that works as well. I'm a little bit disturbed by the spacing, right? Because we have sometimes we have two spacing, we have more spacing in front and in the end. That is called leading and trailing spaces. So that we want to trim away. So remove spaces. We trim them by doing like this. Select star from staging.sql glossary. I want to select SQL word and I want to do a trim of it. Trim. I run this one and we see that it trims the left and the right. So leading and trailing spaces as trimmed word. And we could do, for example, here trimmed word of 1. And you can get the first letter. Now you see that all of them has a character instead of spaces, right? So we could do trim the word of -1, and we can get the last letter, last character as well. Cool, cool. So here we removed some spaces. And let's do some transformation here. So for example, we want the SQL word to be uppercase. So basically I'll just copy this part and I will do upper here. Upper. And you can see it's uppercase. So here we have function in a function. So basically we have function trim, which is inside. So this one will run first because it's inside of the parentheses. Remember you're in math, the parentheses, you count that first. And then this is, so it's a function in a function. So it's basically a composition of functions. So it's a function of a function. So a nested function basically. So here we have upper of this trim of SQL word. Okay, so now we have transformed to uppercase. We could similarly transform to lowercase, but I won't do that. So there's a lower function as well. And now I want to remove some spacing in between words. So let's do like this. I will copy this part, or actually I will copy this part here. And I'll just remove some. Remove this. I'll just pick the description. And you can see the description. We have some spaces before, after, and we have some spaces in between that are more than one, right? So what we can do is like this. We can do trim here. And we see we remove all the left and right. We can do replace. We replace this string with in this string we replace all the spaces with no spaces. And we can see what happens. And you see that all spaces disappear. But that is not what we wanted. How about if we had 2 spaces and change with 1 space? Yeah, better, but sometimes there's more than 2 spaces, right? Do we have some example here? Here we have, for example, combined rows from. Let's see if I don't, number 4. If I don't do this, what do I get? I'll just copy this one and I'll run this description. Or actually I could run it like this. I could take the description here as well. Description. Like this. And here you can see we have, so rows from, yeah, here means that we have two spaces becomes no spaces. How about two spaces become one space? But the problem is that sometimes you have more than two spaces. Sometimes you have 3 or 4 spaces. So it doesn't really work to remove all the spaces. So with the normal replace function. So what we need to do is we need to check something called regex. So create a new SQL script here. Regex. So basically, we want to match whenever we have one or more spaces, we want to match it. And then we want to replace it, right? So then there's something called regex. So select from staging.sql like this. And I want to select the description. And I want to do a trim of this description. And I want to do regex replace. And what do I want to replace? Well, I want to replace whenever we have space, one space plus means that one space or more spaces, it will match. And then it will be replaced with just space, and we need to have G here. And the G means that it will affect the global, so it will go and pick all the occurrences of this pattern and not just the first one. So it will find all of them in each row, and then when you have more than one space, it will become one space, basically. So that was cool. And let's also do the example here. Example, we can see, yeah, it's really weirdly formatted as well. So let's copy this part. Oh, I get sun in my face. It doesn't, it's okay. Example like this, and we can see that we have trimmed it as well and removed the spaces, but it's still weirdly weird with the uppercase and lowercase. So I could maybe pick out all the SQL commands and make it uppercase, but that is way too hard here. So it's better to just make it into lower space. So I'll make all of this into lower, and I'll run it, and it becomes lowercase here. Great. And let's do some filtering now, filtering some rows. So select star from staging.sql glossary, where we have description like, and here we pick out the pattern. So it means this means everything before and everything after. It matches everything that is before and everything that is matches after the select word, the select characters. So if I run this one, let's see what happens. Well, we picked up 2 in the description, because here we have select and here we have select, right, with lowercase, because this is actually case sensitive. So in order to make it case insensitive, we have lower here. We run lower and we can see that it matches many more. It also matches selects, you can see with an S here, but maybe we want to only have exactly the select keyword. So I can copy this one, and we have here \b instead. So \b means that it will match exactly this these characters that was before. So only select will be matched. So when I run this one, what will happen? I get nothing. That was interesting. Yeah, it requires actually not the like. Instead, we need to have another function here. I want to have the regexp matches like this. Okay, regexp underscore matches lower description comma. All right, this one needs to be in string as well, like this. And you can see that now it matches exactly the word select. And the reason why it gets the uppercase as well is because of we have made it lower and it matches the lower. And we get all the columns using the wildcard selection. Yes, and with this, we're not done yet. I want to do, I want to clean the glossary. Clean glossary. Okay, let's do some cleaning here. So first of all, we'll create a new schema. So create schema if not exists. We find, and here is where we have our clean data. So we take from staging, we clean it, we place it in refined. So basically I create a new schema now. So we can do, before we do create table, we do select here. So select star from staging.sql glossary like this, and here we get all our data. And what can we do here? Well, we can do like this. We can select SQL word, and we want to clean this well. We'll do trim here, and we remove this one, and we also do upper here. And we run this one. And we take out as SQL word, comma, description, comma, example here. And here we have cleaned the first one. We could clean the other as well, but I will leave that for you so that I don't take away all the fun here. So let's do create table if not exists. Refine.sql glossary as like this. Right, and I run this one, and we can see it updated something. And if I do select star from refine dot SQL glossary, and then we can see this one has been, this row has been, this column has been cleaned up. So the other columns I will let you clean it up, so transforming the data basically. So save this one, disconnect it, and if you want you can go back to Visual Studio Code and check out that you can check that the data has been saved in the database. So thank you for watching this video. You have learned how some simple string methods. I highly recommend that you go into the documentation to see other string methods, because there's a lot and we haven't covered them all. So go into the documentation which is referenced in the lecture note, And with this, I would like to thank you for watching this video and see you in the next video. Bye!